Sean Salisbury here for Open Sports. Let's once again address this Hall of Fame thing about Kurt Warner. 37 years old, is an unrestricted free agent. To talk about he's going to reevaluate now when the season's over, as most people at this stage of their career do. Kurt Warner's not retiring, folks. He's not going to retire. He's in for a couple big years of a payday, and he's earned it. He deserves to get paid. He's changed the way that people look at the Arizona Cardinals. He's been a true pro. He's a great leader. Matt Leinart can still learn from Kurt Warner and still could use a couple more years to get ready. Kurt Warner's proved that he's durable this last year and a half, and by standing in there and delivering it, he's not going to retire. He is going to play, and I think it's probably, you know what, all athletes posture a little bit on how to get paid, and by doing this, I think Arizona recognized, by Kurt not making a commitment, recognized they're going to have to pay him to keep him, and I think that's fair. And like I said, whenever a guy goes out there and earns it, not on potential, but by performance, and Kurt Warner has consistently throughout his career, in Arizona, why not Arizona again next year? Why not? They're playing in a weak division with a chance in the NFC. You get hot, and look what happens. They got to the Super Bowl. But the main reason I'm talking about this is Kurt Warner the next 2 years will put up more gaudy numbers with Anquan Boldin, Larry Fitzgerald, and Steve Bruston. I mean, they're only going to get better as they continue to feel it and be confident. But Kurt Warner's a Hall of Famer, folks. And there's going to be people out there that don't vote for him. I can remember when Lawrence Taylor, and I'm not comparing Kurt Warner to Lawrence Taylor, one changed the way the positions played Lawrence Taylor, and Kurt Warner, and probably the best at his position ever, Lawrence Taylor. Kurt Warner's not the best at his position, but I think he's earned a Hall of Fame vote. But getting back to Lawrence Taylor, I can remember going on ESPN when I was working for them on TV. It was a Saturday before a Super Bowl, and there was actually controversy over one voter who said he wasn't going to vote for Lawrence Taylor, and a lot of it basically what had happened off the field. Well, you know what? That's not criteria for the Hall of Fame. You vote for their performance on the field. And the guy, I don't know who it was, and I can't even remember, but it doesn't matter. The people who vote like that because it's personal for them, or they got a vendetta against the guy for the way they acted, then put it in the criteria that the guy's supposed to be the NFL Man of the Year, as Kurt Warner was this year, to be considered for the Hall of Fame. But that's not what the criteria is. And voters who vote like that need to be stripped of their privilege. And as I mentioned before, current Hall of Famers that are still living need to vote and get a vote, for the Hall of Fame. But here's why Warner, and I wrote a blog about it today also, just to validate this. Kurt Warner's a Hall of Famer. And the main two things, aside from numbers and going to Super Bowls, but the two things you have to look at are those two things in particular. If you're not a big numbers guy, you got to win championships. Bob Greasy, Len Dawson, Bart Starr won championships without having those gaudy, crazy numbers, but they were winners and great leaders. And then the guys Dan Fouts, Dan Marino never won Super Bowls, but their numbers were so alarming you had to put them in. Kurt Warner hits both. He's got great numbers. He's an all-time passing leader as far as Super Bowl yardage goes. He's won 2 MVPs, won a Super Bowl MVP, got a Super Bowl ring, and he just continues to get better late in his career. So there's never been a 6-year low where Kurt Warner wasn't a good player. So and he's, like I said, NFL Man of the Year, but that's not the criteria. You vote for what he's done on the field as a player, and Kurt Warner belongs in that class. It's that simple. So if you're not going to win a Super Bowl, you better have numbers. If you're not going to have numbers, you better have won Super Bowl or multiple, and Kurt Warner's done both. He's won a Super Bowl and has the numbers. He's a Hall of Famer, folks, and there's going to be some that don't vote for him, and he won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't believe he will, no matter what kind of numbers he puts up for the next 2 years, unless, of course, he's able to go on and win 2 more Super Bowls. Then obviously you got to look at it different. But right now, if Kurt Warner retires, which I don't believe he's going to, as a matter of fact, I can tell you he's not going to retire. That's just the way I feel, and he's too healthy and playing too well to retire. But he is a God-fearing man, and he's got beliefs and puts family first, which I think is great. But Kurt Warner is a Hall of Famer. He's proven it by the numbers. He's taken 2 different franchises to Super Bowls, and they got there because of him, not in spite of him. Kurt Warner is a Hall of Famer. If I had a vote, there'd be no question he gets my vote. I'm Sean Salisbury for Open Sports.
Think you can complete the drive? Play today and get an automatic entry to win daily prizes, 2 tickets to the big game, and a brand new car. Start your drive today at opensports.com.